Harley Quinn was back again this week on Max for the Season 4 penultimate episode entitled Potato-Based Cloning Incident. Now, I'm Cape Joel, and this is the video series where I give my thoughts and feelings on the episode that was, while also shouting out any comic book Easter eggs or references I can find. So with that out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? As we join the episode, Harley and Ivy are still reeling from the fact that it looks like the apocalypse has just only begun. Lex has blocked out the sun, and everything in Gotham is going to hell all around them. To make matters worse, Harley thinks she's hallucinating her double again, only for Ivy to actually see the other Harley too. Turns out everyone in my comments section was totally right, and this is a clone of Harley who was born from a lock of original Harley's hair that Poison Ivy brought into the LOD building, which was later reheated by Gordon in the combination microwave cloning machine. Meaning that this clone Harley is actually 95% human and 5% baked potato, right down to the butter. Clone Harley is also much different than the genuine article. She's fully dedicated herself to heroism to an almost alarming, distressing degree. She also makes no distinction between people committing crime. It doesn't matter if you litter, do ketamine therapy, or pirate TV shows. She treats you with the same kind of zero tolerance usually only reserved for murderers. As we learn, Clone Harley has also been living a whole other life in Harley's absence, hanging out with Barbara and even making friends with the Flash. These flashbacks are fun too because they're the only time this episode is actually in color, while everything else in the present is sepia tone. I wonder if animating the show like this took more or less time. Harley and Ivy are more than happy to accept Clone Harley's extra help if it means taking down Lex Luthor, who, as we learn in this episode, actually had more than a few reasons to block out the sun. Obviously, it hurts his most hated foe, Superman, but it also hurts Ivy, who had become more and more of a threat to Luthor's reign as top dog. After all, if plants can't eat, she can't use them to fuel her amazing elemental powers, meaning Ivy spends most of this episode weaker than she's ever been before. They also bring back that great running gag wherein Luthor mansplains a bunch of plant science to a woman who has so very clearly dedicated her entire life to plant science and is more plant than human. It's very funny. When the brute force approach doesn't work to stop Luthor, Ivy must instead put to work everything she's learned as an evil CEO this season and go all Succession by trying to defeat Luthor in his own boardroom. This leads to a great little scene where an Ivy goes to all the other major shareholders and tries to give them exactly what she thinks they want, changing her approach, sales tactics, and even code switching a little bit when it benefits her. The big holdout to this plan is actually a man named Clegg. Yes, that's right, Clegg, the man whose name brand is all over the Harley world. Ivy even notes that she thought the name was just a placeholder so they didn't get any trouble from real-world brands. But no, it turns out he's a real guy, and the only way Ivy is going to get him on her side is if she can impress him at an upcoming charity golf tournament. Ivy naturally hates everything about golf, considering the impact it has on plant life. To Pamela's credit, though, she really can rock a golf outfit, though. Ivy's big plan is to play dumb about golf and hope that Clegg warms up to her by getting to share his hyper-obsession with a woman. Geez, this is basically that same joke from the Barbie movie, which starred Margot Robbie, who is also the live-action Harley. Man, this is a hell of a serendipitous situation. You'd never catch me dead explaining my hyperfixation to a woman, well, unless she asked me about the Harley Quinn show, in which case, oh, I have so many fun bits of backstory and lore and comic references. Can you believe I'm still single, everyone? Now, at the other end of the episode, Harley is still dealing with her clone. Despite them actually getting along at first, things change quickly once Harley thinks to ask her about Nightwing's still unsolved murder. Turns out Clone Harley was actually there when the crime was committed, and that's because original Recipe Harley is the one that killed Dick, well, during another one of her psychotic sleepwalking episodes. Which, might I be so bold as to say, was totally a theory I had, and I feel more than a little vindicated right here. Harley is obviously horrified by Clone Harley's words and has to see the truth for herself, even if it means having to swallow her pride and ask for help from former crewmate Dr. Psycho to delve into her mind using his psychic powers. Speaking of, Season 4 really ended up being a crew light season, which is fine. It's a bold creative choice to put some beloved characters on ice in favor of bringing in new ones, but it's nice to see the OG crew members all had their own little moments sprinkled across all of these episodes. Now, as we flash back, we do indeed see a sleepwalking Harley get confronted by Nightwing, who is actually under the impression that Harley kidnapped Batgirl all herself. Dick berates Harley, saying that she will never be a real hero, before sleeping Harley seemingly chokes him to death death with one of her friendship bracelets. I say seemingly because the memory cuts out right there and we never do learn how Dick made it into that tree, which leads me to believe that there's a whole other thing here we're not seeing yet. This revelation obviously shatters Harley, and in her heightened emotional state, fearing that Dr. Psycho will out her secret to the world, she ends up knocking him the hell out before eventually calling the Flash in to try and help her out, which he's more than happy to do because this version of Flash loves jokes and loves pranks and has already befriended Clone Harley. So when he's asked to use his cosmic treadmill to travel back in time 5 minutes, he's more than down to clown, and oh man, you know what? The Flash abusing the time stream at the drop of a hat is one of those funny because it's true kind of things. It's a good thing too that Harley did that, because an overconfident Ivy actually accidentally killed Clegg while playing golf and then somehow managed to do it all over again, but worse when given a second chance. Wah wah. When the time actually comes for the big LexCorp meeting, the votes are tied at 6-6, only to be broken by Clegg's widow, who in a nice callback to the first episode of the season turns out to be that model that Harley had helped after having her clavicle stolen by Professor Pig. She still kinda owed Harley a favor, and that favor was luckily able to roll on over to Poison Ivy. Though even when Pamela finally is able to actually shut off the laser, it's clear that the damage that this thing has done isn't just gonna go away overnight. Real Harley ultimately gets arrested by Clone Harley, who shows her true colors, thinking that this might be the perfect opportunity to take full control of her life. And yes, it doesn't escape me that an episode with mostly no color was also the same episode that tried to address how Harley struggles with the Bat family's own sense of black and white morality. Obviously, real Harley isn't going to take any of this stuff lying down and tries to take her case to Batgirl directly, only for it to lead to a full-on mirror match between the two Harleys, who are seemingly pretty evenly matched. It's actually Barbara herself who ends up being the X factor in this battle, asking the Harleys a question about the nature of justice that Clone Harley is all too quick to have an answer for. I like this bit because it shows that Batgirl isn't dumb and she full well knows that Harley has been conflicted about how the Bat family do things. What she didn't see coming though is Harley quitting the hero life straight up, no doubt still feeling the guilt about what happened to Nightwing. Harley says that she can't keep denying the villainous part of herself. It's hurting her mental state and it's hurting her relationship with Ivy. Harley is also very sure to not let it slip to Barbara the part she played in Nightwing's murder, and she doesn't even get the chance to explain herself either, because as the episode ends on a very shocking cliffhanger, Barbara is shot by the Joker. Oh my god, are they really doing their own version of killing Joke? Could we see Barbara become Oracle in this show and maybe them work in some of the other Batgirls from the comics? Wow. And so that was Potato-Based Cloning Incident, an episode that had more twists and turns in it than just about any other episode this season. It was nice to see the show circle back to the idea that while Harley really wanted to be a hero, she was also becoming very disillusioned with the way the Bat family did things. Maybe Harley will have a change of heart in the final episode and come back to trying to be a hero, or maybe this is just the show saying that she still has a lot more growing to do and places to go before she feels ultimately truly complete. I also appreciate all the connective tissue this episode had, tying together a bunch of stuff from a season that up until now felt a little disconnected at times. It was also a bold artistic choice to have an Evil Doubles episode that also is a 90% sepia tone episode. I feel like this is the sort of bold creative choice a studio only lets you get away with when they have a lot of faith in you. I can also 100% say I have no idea where the final episode is going to take us and how they're going to wrap up all these different storylines, but oh man, am I excited to see how it all shakes out. So until then, everyone, this has been Cape Joel. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to follow me on social media, subscribe, and like the video so you always know when a new Harley Quinn video is dropping. Also, hey, if you like comic books, I cover those too on the channel. Be sure to check out Birds of Prey #1 from this week. Harley is in it, and it's really good.